I mean, I think majority of the putty is just going on the wood instead of in the crack. This is gonna be like the weekend of just waiting around. I'm gonna add this up real quick. Hopefully I don't look stupid. So I quickly realized that the blade on this is much smaller than the thickness on this. Alright, so it is 50 degrees out today. I just got home from work and a bunch of snow has melted. You can see there's still a ton of it out there just because there's been so much, but the van is like almost completely clear, just a tiny bit stuck there on the windshield. So I am going to take advantage of that. We got maybe like half an hour left of sunlight today, so I am going to take this. I am going to go find my putty knife. Got it somewhere inside, so I got to find it, and I'm going to try to get that all spread in the cracks and figure out how I'm going to get it in the bolt holes and all that kind of stuff. So that way it has a few days to kind of like settle in there before the weekend, because today is Wednesday, right? Wednesday. So yeah, so I'll get it in there now while it's still warm. Still got a little bit of light out there, and then it has a few days to kind of sit there, set up, and solidify. And then that way, then on the weekend, it's supposed to be raining on the weekend. I'm not sure exactly how much, if it's gonna be like all day long or what, but that way I can just get inside there and stain it and put the sealant on it and all that stuff and get that out of the way, so I don't really have to do a whole lot in the rain. So yeah, before the sun goes down, gotta get this going here. Okay, so got the putty knife, got changed out my work clothes. First step is I need to get a bunch of this stuff out of here, so that way it's easier to work in here and spread everything. So yeah, I'm gonna work on clearing this out and then start filling in all these cracks going along. Okay, so more or less cleaned up. There's some insulation scraps and whatnot lying around, but at some point I'll come out here with like a broom or something, just clean that up. Got that wood and that box up against there, so there's really nothing to fill in there. You know, that all I'm gonna do around, you know, the cracks there by the wall, and the bolt holes are there, so right here there's really nothing to worry about, so I figure that's a good spot for it. And then everything else is all cleared out, so I can go ahead and start spreading that stuff around. Alright, so just want to show you how it's going so far. So I'm just taking a little bits at a time and kind of spreading it across here, going bit by bit. Says that you can kind of fill it in and then wipe up some of the excess on the side, so that's what I'm planning on doing. Something I did notice is that now that I have this one screwed down over there, holding it down to be more level, it's level over there. However, out here in the middle, seems like this one is now a little bit higher than this one. Not sure what I could really do about that at this point. I'm not sure exactly what the cause is. If maybe the insulation overlapped a little bit, it's hard to see down there. It's nothing major, but maybe once I get all this in here and then it's all settled in, I'll do a little sanding to try to even it out before I end up doing that staining. So it's just something I noticed. Haven't really carefully inspected over there, but just from looking at it, looks like it's okay, but I'll find out when I'm actually over there spreading stuff on it. So I'm going to keep spreading along here, and then I'll give the sides a wipe up to kind of just take off the excess. Like I said, I'm going to be doing sanding and staining all that anyway, so I'm not really worried about having too much on there or anything. And yeah, so I'm going to do these lines. I'm going to do this one going all the way down, that one, and then I'm going to look at any of the bolt holes that are, you know, obnoxiously large, like that one right there, for example. I know this piece of wood specifically, basically all the holes are like that because it was just not a fun time, and that's a whole glob of stain right there, so that's got to get sanded and stained and everything. So yeah, so I'm just gonna keep going and then get out of here. I'm just glad that we got a nice warm day today so I can get this taken care of before the weekend, so one thing off the checklist. Alright, so just to show you what I'm doing, it's a little tough to tell, so I'm going to try to get a good angle here, but this is part where it is, that difference in height is becoming a little bit more noticeable here. So I'm basically just creating almost like a ramp with this putty stuff, and so that way it's, you know, connected here and there, and then I go through with a sander, I'll just make it all even. Yeah, that's my plan, is just kind of have it going just slanted down from the high one to the low one, and just trying to fill the gap in the best I can. So just continuing on here. Alright, so first strip here, whatever you want to call it, looking pretty good. So I got it all spread out, bit by bit, going kind of that direction, and then I went and just kind of just smoothed it all out and gave it a nice firm press down and scraped off a lot of excess and scraped it back into there. So I think it looks pretty good so far. I'm gonna keep going around and see, as this kind of settles in there, if any of it kind of drops down lower to fill in the gaps, and then I'll have to add a little bit more. I'm not sure exactly how, if this stuff settles a lot or if it just stays in place. Yeah, I'm gonna keep continuing on now. Okay, so got this one here all done up just like the other one. There was a little bit, I noticed this back one towards the middle, kind of just like the other one, is a little bit higher than this one. I'm guessing that's because these are here, but I mean those are right there too, holding it down. So for whatever reason, it's a little bit uneven, so I'll probably end up doing the same thing, just sand it down. This one doesn't seem as bad as the other one. Not that the other one's like crazy terrible or anything, but this one was just up a hair. The other one was a little bit more than that. Alright, so I am going to work on next, go around the edges, because I know there's definitely spots where there's some larger gaps in there, and just fill in all that stuff, and then work on the bolt holes if I can get it in there. They did sell like tubes of this stuff, so if it's too tough to get down into like the bolt holes that have big holes going around the bolts, then I might end up just picking up that at some point, either this week or Saturday morning or something, and just squirt that down in there. But yeah, so I'm going to do all the edges and then see what I can do about the bolts. Alright, so I got the light on because it's starting to get a little dark in here. So I just want to show you this. This is a lot tougher than just these big cracks in the middle of the floor. Just trying to get it in there when it's right up against the wall like that. You can see I got some here filled in that corner there, and then going around here, and it's just really tough to figure out how to get it in there. So I'm going to keep working with this. I'm not sure if there's some kind of trick that I'm missing. Maybe just take big globs and just stuff it in there and then scrape up the excess, I guess. Just get it messy. Okay, so still working at it here. It is, I mean, it's going. It's kind of getting filled in, but I mean, you can still see there's random holes, and there's stuff all over the wood here. I mean, I think majority of the putty is just going on the wood instead of in the crack. So I think I'm going to end up doing a little bit of research as far as putting this stuff in corners and seeing if there's any tricks about that. And then depending on what that comes out with, I might end up getting that tube stuff that I was talking about and just using it along all the edges as well as the bolt holes, because this is I mean, it worked out. Seems, well, hasn't completely dried or anything yet, but it at least seems like it works out pretty well for this kind of a situation. But I mean, it's gonna take like hours to try to go around all these edges, and I'm probably gonna end up wasting so much just putting it all over the wood instead of actually in the crack. So yeah, I think I'm just going to take a break from this for now. I'll pack this up and take it inside, and then do some research, and then this weekend come back to it and see what exactly I'm supposed to be doing here, because something is not right. There's no way that this is the proper way of doing it. This is just making a big mess. Alright, so that's it for tonight, I guess, unless I instantly figure out how to do this and I don't need to go buy anything else for it or anything. But most likely done for tonight, and then probably be back either Friday or definitely Saturday morning. Alright, so it is Saturday morning. We got a little bit of snow, nothing major, and now it's kind of transitioning from snow into rain as it warms up this morning. So it's gonna be fun, kind of like a mix of ice and slush and mud, I'm sure, out there right now. So I did some research on or attempted to do some research on the wood filler, wood putty stuff, and trying to get it in the corners. And anytime I would search for it, it would just show up information about basically putting it on a corner of like a desk, a cabinet, something like that, but not actually getting it into a corner. So I couldn't find any info on like how to do it more efficiently. So what I went with is, hopefully it shows up there. I got this tube here, and it kind of comes out to like a nozzle. I was hoping they would have something bigger, kind of like that glue that I use. You know, one of those big things that you got to put in the metal contraption and push out. But this was the biggest size that they had that I could find. So I got 3 of these. Hopefully that'll be enough to do all around the edges and filling in the bolt holes and all that. But this will definitely be a lot easier. Let me just pop this off here real quick. So you can see it goes to a real small nozzle there. Haven't really read the instructions. I guess I must have to chop off the very tip of it because it's all closed in there. But that'll be real easy then to get into all those tight spaces. Just hoping that's going to be enough, because there definitely isn't nearly as much in here as there is in that giant tub that I have. So we'll see how far this goes. Hopefully the 3 will be enough. If not, I'll be running back out to Lowe's again. Alright, so I was about to go get my shower, get my breakfast, all that stuff before I went out there, and then I realized that this is going to be like the weekend of just waiting around. So I'm going to actually get started first by doing this, and then I'll go do that other stuff. Because after I put in all that wood filler putty stuff, it says you gotta wait about 2 hours for that to, you know, all solidify and everything. And then after I do that, I might do like a little bit touch-up sanding, and then stain it, and then I gotta wait for this staining stuff to dry, and then finally I'll be able to seal it, and then I wait for all the seal to dry. So I think it's just gonna be a lot of just waiting around this weekend. So yeah, it's just gonna be just waiting for stuff to dry, and then doing more stuff and waiting for more stuff to dry. So I am gonna get my little heater out to the van, so that way it can help it with the drying process for everything. I also think it is actually probably still this early, a little bit under 40, so I want that to be out there, because I know for that wood putty filler stuff it's supposed to be 40, and I think the stain, everything else too. So I'll get that out there, and then I will start doing that putty filler stuff, and then I will have 2 hours free of not being able to work on the van because everything's drying. So then I will go get my shower and all. Alright, so this is my first time actually out here since I did this putty in the cracks here. Seems to be looking okay. Obviously I need to clean up all the you know, the edges there. It is really coming down here, this rain now, and obviously with the way that fan is angled, it is able to hit the edges here, so that's going to be fun trying to work with this, keeping it dry. So I'm going to make this quick. So yeah, I am just going to get this all closed up here, and I'm going to have to grab a towel, and I still got to bring out the heater. And then I will start putting around. I'm going to start back there where I left off, which looks like a disaster right now. Let me see if I can just zoom in there. Yeah, you can see it's just all over that wall there. So I got to try to clean that up somehow, and then just putty along it, and then fill in those holes and let it sit for 2 hours. Okay, so I'm out here, got my heater going, got a towel to put my wet boots on. I just chopped this top off here, kind of came up a little bit awkward shaped, kind of smushed it, of course, because I used those terrible scissors. So yeah, I am going to start spreading this around, and I'll do updates as either things go well or things go terrible. Alright, so it is just too dark in here to be able to tell what I'm really doing. I mean, you can see, especially in this corner here, I thought these lights would be kind of good enough in here, but with it being so cloudy, and that's covered with some low amount of snow, but enough to, I mean, there's not much light out there right now anyway. It's all cloudy and rainy, but I am actually going to grab like a headlamp and use that real quick, just because, I mean, like way back here, I'm trying to figure out where to spread it, and it's just too dark to be able to confidently see what I'm doing and make sure I'm not just making a mess. Alright, so this is what we got so far. This is the area that was already done before. As you can see, all the mess there. So here's this one. It's definitely working a lot better than the other one. There's basically no mess because I'm not scraping it all around. I'm just kind of squeezing in there and then just mushing around with the end of it. And I'm trying to figure out how to do this without creating a shadow over top of it, but yeah, so I think I might add a little bit more to kind of level it out there. Definitely a lot easier. I don't know how far this tube is going to go, so I might end up needing to get more. But in my opinion, it's worth it because this is going way better than the other method. Alright, so this edge was a little bit tougher just because that opening was pretty thin right there. And then kind of widened back up over here. So I just used my finger just kind of get it all even in there. You can see it got on the wood a little bit there. Definitely a little bit messier than that knife line, but definitely going a lot faster and a lot easier than the other method. So just going to keep continuing on down here. Alright, so my hands are just coated in that stuff right now. I used basically the entire tube and got around this whole side here. So from all the way at that edge, when we left off with that other stuff, went all the way around, got to here, and then I was thinking about also doing this right here, of course, with the headlamps, the lights. There we go. And then I decided not really to bother because it just opens up here, and I didn't want to fill in this whole gap. So I was trying to figure out, should I do it? Should I do some of it? None of it? I decided I'm just gonna leave it. There is a little bit there when I started it, and then I decided nah, because once I come around here, I can fill in up against that. And this is really hard with this headlamp. It just keeps making a shadow. So I could fill in around here, but then like, where do I really stop? Do I just stop here and then leave that all open? So I decided, screw it, just leave it how it is there. That's fine. So this whole side facing out this way is just gonna be left open, no wood filler, and then same thing with the back. I'm not gonna, put wood fill around where it meets up against the door, obviously. So yeah, so I think I might have gotten just enough. We'll see how it works out. So that took one whole tube. This side actually should use a little bit less than that because I'm not gonna be putting anything, along this edge here. I might end up having to put some down there. I have to see exactly what I'm working with down there. I don't even remember exactly what it looks like. I don't think I really need to do much of anything down there though, especially with all this rain. It's supposed to let up, I think, around noon, last time I checked, so then I'll be able to get an easier look out there without water pouring on me. So I'm gonna fill on all that area and then go do the bolt holes and then set a 2-hour timer and come back and check out how it looks. Okay, so this side is getting there. Now this is kind of like getting jammed up. It's getting really hard to get anything out of here. I tried poking the edge of the scissors down there to see if that would kind of loosen anything up, but still just, I'm not sure why. I'm gonna cut the same size hole that I cut in the other one, and it was working really good over here, and then it kind of got slower and slower, and now it's just, there's still plenty in here, you can see, and it's just taking forever. I gotta squeeze the crap out of it to try to get anything out. So I don't know what else to do. I'm just gonna keep squeezing, see if maybe there's something hard in there blocking it up or something, and it'll finally pop out. I don't know. Alright, so I cut down a little bit further so it's a bigger hole, and initially when I pushed it, still kind of felt stuck, and then suddenly it started going faster, so I think there was something in there kind of blocking it up, and then with that bigger hole it managed to get through there, and now it's coming out nice and easy. So I'm gonna finish up going around here, and then it's time to do the whatever I can get done around all these bolts. Okay, so I'm glad I got 3. This one's basically finished here, and I still have to go around. Seems like the cracks on this side, and there's that shadow again. Cracks on this side seem to be a bit bigger than on the other side, so it's taking more to be able to fill them in. As you can kind of see, there we go. That's a pretty good size gap there. So I still need, I'm going to open up that third one, fill in that, still pretty big, and then it kind of narrows out there, and it gets real small around that hump there, and then just a little bit there, and then that'll be done. So almost there. Alright, so my hands are still covered right now. I'm trying not to get all over the phone, but you can see that's all filled in there, and I just went around this side and the other side, and also just double check these spots here to make sure everything's kind of level and good. Make sure it didn't like settle down and then I need to fill in more or anything, but so far everything looks good. So it's time to do those bolt holes, whichever ones need to be filled in. And I'm gonna try to not need to take any bolts out, either for this process or sanding, staining, anything, which I know sounds like it's gonna be more of a pain in the ass than it's really worth doing that, but I'm just so paranoid about these bolts at this point that I'm like, they're all in there. I don't want to accidentally, take them out and then suddenly try to put them back in and have to drill more holes and try to get in there and then need to do more wood putty and staining it again and all over. So I'm going to try to do everything with leaving the bolts right where they are, which is going to be pain trying to work around them and everything, but I think that's been like the hardest thing about this project so far was these bolts. So I don't want to take them out and risk having to deal with that all over again. So I might get that bottom going here and just start filling in whatever holes need to be filled in. Okay, so I did the first couple here just to show you what it's so hard to work with this shadow and light and stuff, but now it's kind of like too bright I feel like, but whatever. So I have basically just been putting like little dabs on there and then just rubbing it all around my finger, trying to get it level. And then these spots I'll probably just like hand sand it, just take one of the sanding papers and just do it by hand, just because it's so close to the bolt. I don't want to end up like destroying the sander by repeating, like slamming at the bolts over and over or anything. So yeah, but so far it seems to be going all right, nothing too crazy difficult, and it seems like I should have enough of this because it doesn't take a lot to fill these little holes. I mean, if anything, I've been actually using a little bit too much, as you can see. So all right, so just gonna keep going here. All right, so that is it. I'll just go around and show you some of the bolts. Hopefully they're somewhat visible. So I had to put at least a little bit around basically all of them, but there were a couple that were just really good in there, especially ones towards the back, along here. But then as you get further forward, definitely had to fill in some holes for those. So yeah, everything is looking good. So I'm going to set a timer for 2 hours and then get on out of here and go get some other stuff done and then come back and check to see what it's looking like. Alright, so back out here. It's been just about 2 hours. It is still a little bit of rain out there, but it's definitely a lot lighter than it was before. And I am going to go around and check, see how wet or dry everything is. Hopefully it's dry enough that I can go through and do some sanding and then do some staining. So I just did like this whole video explaining what's happening and realized I never actually hit record. So here we are. So I started off the video over here and I just rubbed my finger gently across that area because that was the first spot that I did today. And it's definitely a lot drier than it was when I first put it on there. Only a tiny bit stuck to my finger, but it definitely was still like movable. So it's definitely still not fully dry. So I'm gonna go around, touch up any spots that need a little bit extra stuff in there after it's kind of like settled down, or any spots I missed while it's still a little bit wet. And then after I do that, I'm going to work on sanding these spots that have been sitting here for a few days and are dry. So that way that's all done and taken care of, and then maybe by then these areas will be a little bit drier. Yeah, so I'm gonna do that, and then I think there was something else. Oh, and I think the reasoning behind this taking longer than required 2 hours, some of these spots, this one's like real thin, but some of the spots, like especially on the other side, and then back here even a little bit, are a little bit thicker of a gap, so it's got a lot more stuff in there to dry. And then also the temperature, when I came out here to do this, it was below 40. It was like mid 30s or whatever, kind of like right on the border of freezing, because we were just transferring over from snow to rain this morning. And then I had that little heater going in here, so I think it did get above 40 to where it's working, but it's just taking longer because it's right at that edge of the required temperature. So I am going to see any spots that need to be touched up and then sand these babies down because these are going to take some work, especially that one over there, trying to make it a bit more level instead of that slant that's currently on there. Okay, so here, just went through and sanded back and forth a few times. You can see, obviously the stain is all screwed up there, but slowly getting down. You see it's taking off some here on this edge, and it's definitely going to take some work to try to get that evened out. I don't know how far I'm going to try to get to, if I want it to be perfect or if I want to just say screw it and have a little bit of an angle there. So it's gonna take a while to just use the sander to take that down, it seems like. Yeah. So I'm just trying to avoid going too close to that because I don't want to end up just getting the sander all wet with the drying filler that's there. But just going across here, and this is what it looks like so far. Okay, so sit up here. So this area all feels great. Okay, so my phone just keeps recording randomly. I don't know why. Yeah, so I just filmed this whole thing and it only filmed like a couple seconds of it. I don't know if it's got like wet working out here or something, but basically all I said was that area is good. That area is good. The middle, that's still rough and angled. So I'm gonna keep working on that. And then over here, I haven't started yet, but I think it's gonna be the same kind of thing where that area is pretty flat, so it'll be easy. Same with the other side, and then the middle is angled, not as bad as this other piece, but still angled, so gonna require some work. So I'm gonna keep going. Hopefully this video actually turns out good and I'm not missing half the stuff I'm recording. I don't know what's going on with it. Okay, so I think I might just kind of be done here. It's still angled, but it's a lot better, and I kind of smoothed the that putty stuff out, so it's decent. I think after I stain it, it'll all kind of blend in and look pretty good. Like I said, there is still a little bit, but it's not just like a, here and then there jumps up. It's, a nice little curve to it now. And I don't know what exactly these lines are here. I can't really feel anything. It doesn't feel like rough there. It's all smooth from sanding, but I don't know if I'm getting like too far down in the plywood where I'm getting to like the middle section of it that's not the same as the top. So I figure I'll just leave it how it is here. It's looking pretty good. I don't think that little hump is really going to be a big deal. If it drives me crazy, then I don't know, I'll just throw like a rug over it or something, or I'll just sand it more later and give it a quick stain or something. But right now, I mean, I can literally just slide my foot right over it like that, with the sock on, and I don't get stuck on it or anything, so I'm fine with it. I think it looks pretty good. I mean, obviously it looks kind of like crap right now because it's all scuffed up from sanding, but once I do the staining later on and all that, I think it's going to be looking good. Okay, so came over here and went back and forth a couple times on this one. The angle is definitely less extreme over here, however it seems to extend a lot more. Like the other one was kind of just in the middle section here. It's like, but the majority of it seems to be somewhat angled. So yeah, so right over here is flat and good, and then it's like angled all the way then across here, and then kind of flattens back out right as you get towards the edge over here. But like I said, angle's not bad. So what I'm really trying to do is just sand down the roughness in this putty stuff and get that nice and even, which is a little bit tough trying to get at it with an angle. So like I need to like deal with that hole there and clean up these edges, and overall just going across it is rough. So yeah, I'm just gonna keep going over that and try to really focus on the putty itself and get that cleaned up, and then that way that'll all be good, and then I will test out the other putty stuff and see if that's dry and go around. And I don't know how much I'm going to be able to use like the sander that close to the edge, so I might end up unfortunately having to hand sand everything around all the edges, and then I know I'm going to have to hand sand the bolt holes, but it would be nice to be able to just use a sander going around the edges, but I don't know how well it's going to work. So yeah, going to keep working on this for now though. Alright, so it is looking pretty good. Well, again, like the other one, looks pretty terrible, but it feels pretty good. It's pretty smooth. It looks all kind of weird, like things kind of cut in there and stuff based on just how the putty got put on there, but it feels nice and smooth. I'm happy with that, so I'm going to test out some of the putty spots. I don't know how good they're going to be yet, because like I said, some of this was laid on real thick in there, and it looks very different than the stuff that was on there, so I'm thinking it's still pretty wet. So I'm going to see what exactly we're working with, and just see how wet it is. Is it basically like it hasn't dried at all, or is it almost there? And it looks like I might need to clean up that random spot over there. It's like going up on the wire for some reason. Yeah, so I'm going to check that out, and I can actually do that right now while filming. Gonna smooth that out a little bit. Weird. Let's see. I mean, it's still definitely wet, and it's definitely, some of the spots are definitely softer than other ones. Definitely feels like it's still got some give over here compared to that stuff over there. So this is probably the thickest gap that I filled in. I'm even considering adding a little bit more, actually, because it looks like it may have settled in a little bit. I don't know how easy it is to tell on the camera here, but it kind of like drops down a little bit, like it's got a little bit of a rivet, and I don't want like moisture just settling in there, being stuck in this little like canal going along the edge of the van. So I'm considering adding more, which I know is just going to add to the dry time, because I have to wait for that to dry. Do I want to or not? Like, it's pretty close to being flat, but at the same time, I know it's not flat. I think I'm going to add a little bit more while it's still somewhat wet anyway. Okay, so I filled in this area. I went around the whole van, and it seemed like this was the only area was kind of like dipping down like that. So I got that filled in. Yeah, so obviously let that dry. Yeah, I'm gonna check to see if it's still raining or not. And if it's completely done raining, I might towel off the top here and mess around with this area over here. But if it's still raining, I'm not gonna do that, because obviously it's already getting wet over here anyway, just from opening and closing this to get in and out. And I don't want to be working out there, getting myself completely wet, and then also this whole area being soaking wet while I'm trying to work on it, especially. So yeah, so we'll see. If it's done raining, I might mess around, see what I can do there. But it's still raining, well then I just gotta wait for this to dry. There's not really anything else I can do right now. So let's see what's happening. Okay, so it's probably not gonna pick up on the camera here, but there is still some rain coming down. So I'm not gonna let this area get soaking wet, so just gonna throw on my boots and get inside and come back out in a little while again and see what we're working with as far as, is everything dry. Maybe I can start working on that side, since maybe that'll dry faster than this side, because I just laid down that fresh area there. But yeah, so just waiting and waiting and waiting. That's what this weekend's gonna be, just sitting around. Okay, so I think it's been about an hour or something like that. And I came back out. That area is definitely still super duper soft, because that's the new stuff I did, but I even tested out some of like this stuff over here. It's getting closer, but it's still a little bit soft when I touch it, so I'm not gonna try to sand it or anything. So it looks like it has stopped raining from what I can tell. So I am going to start messing around with some of this stuff, figure out exactly how I want to do that step out there and all that. Yeah, so I am going to towel dry all that stuff up there so it stops dripping on there, and then just mess around with it and figure out how I want that to go, because I also have that green stuff that came in yesterday, so I got that. Okay, so so this is just that piece that I'm eventually going to be sticking onto there, but before I do that, I want to take care of all this wood. I think I am going to end up just putting some seal on here. I'm not going to really worry about staining it really, because I'm going to end up covering it with that green doormat kind of material I got. I'm just worried about this stuff sticking out here, so I'm thinking if I have another one of these in my car left over that I never used, So I'm thinking I could just take this and stick it, basically just cut it a piece, you know, going back here. I would have to move this junk out of the way for now. And then like another piece going out here. And then I don't know what I would do about this because it obviously isn't going to fit there. So maybe it would just be kind of, and then basically, so the idea is you put one back there, one here, and then whatever I'm going to do about this area, and then put either, you know, more of this or even the 1/2 inch that I have left over, and put that on top of it, and then that way it would give it a nice flat surface going over top of all of these nuts. And over here I'm not worried about it. I actually would prefer it to not be raised up because that gives me more space to fit all this junk in. So I would just kind of only do it from here over for the steps. That way, I mean, it hasn't been an issue so far. I haven't really noticed stepping on it and stepping on any of these bolts or anything, but once it's covered with the green stuff, they'll be harder to see, and I'm not always going to be stepping in there with big, giant, thick boots, so it might be nice to have it be nice and flat and not have to get these jabbed into the bottom of my foot every so often. So yeah, I am going to grab that other piece of wood and figure out how I'm going to need to chop it up. So I'm thinking one piece going from basically all the way at that end, and then going all the way over to meet here, and then another piece going that way, and then I might try to then, you know, like squeeze on a piece somewhere, you know, where it basically will meet up with that piece over there, and then come out here as far as it can before it gets, you know, cut off by these two bolts here at the edge. And then that should be enough then to support it without it, you know, collapsing basically. Unless I could also do a piece in between these bolts actually, and that would be a support basically going the entire way around. So maybe I'll do that. Let's see how much wood I actually have and see how far we get with this. Okay, so got out the other wood, grabbed my pencil, measuring tape, all that. So what I just did to start was I took that small leftover bit here and I just put it up against here, trace a line so that way I know how far to go with the one piece. And also it's going to tell me where to go with the, well, the other piece I'll actually probably put back here to keep it out of the way. No, because I don't want it to be an awkward shape. Yeah, so I would have to put it up against here. And then I also just traced out going here just straight across. Again, using that wood to line it up. Yeah, so that way I have some lines to work with here. And now I'm just going to measure from over there to there. And then I guess I'll just cut that piece, and then that way then I will know exactly how far I need to have piece going from here to here. And then once I have that piece in, this piece is kind of just on its own, so don't really have to rely on any other pieces for that measurement. But this one I definitely will need the other piece in place so I can measure from, you know, wherever it's going to be there going over to wherever it can land here before it hits that bolt or goes off the wood. Okay, so I made a couple more lines here before I started measuring everything out. So I put that spare wood back here and put it basically as far as I could to where it still actually was completely on this wood. So if I put it any further down, it would be hanging over it, you know, hanging off of it. So I put it there and then trace there, you know, where it's going to end, and then where it continues down here part of the way. And then that way I could then use that same piece of wood then to try to angle it and figure out exactly where it could start and stop. So if I put it, you know, out here, it would, only the corner would be on and it would be hanging off here. So I figured out that it appears right here is where it actually can go on and continue on down, and then have to be cut somewhere down here before hitting that bolt that's sticking out there. All right, so just to show you my current logic and planning, I measured out here. This looks like it looked like it was just about exactly 25. This is slightly pulling back in like it was doing when I was trying to measure out, I don't know, whatever I was trying to measure out in the van, and it kept, so I had to put duct tape on it. So, but when it actually is extended, as you can see, it's not fully out there. But anyway, I marked down, it is, where did I write it? There is about 25 1/4 inches Looked like initially just 25, but then it's a little bit bigger than that, so I'm gonna do 25 and a quarter. I want to do my best to mark out all these areas. One, that way I know what I need to cut, and two, then I can make sure I have enough wood for all of this, and I can kind of plan, make sure I'm making the right cuts and I'm getting the most out of the wood I can. Yeah, so I am going to now put this in place as if it were over here, and then measure from the end of this to the end of this and see what size I need for that. Okay, let it refocus here. Come on. There we go. All right. So this one is 5 and a quarter. So far we got 25 and a quarter and 5 and a quarter. Yeah. So now these last two, I'm not going to be able to lay the wood down because the bolts are going to be in the way because this is longer than these sizes. So I'm measuring from here to here, and then measuring from that line I made down to right about this bolt. Okay, so this one looks to be about 10. It's kind of tough to measure exactly just because this one's at an angle. So measuring with the measuring tape, I'm not getting real full effect of how it's going to fit in there. But it seems like 10 would be good enough. I'm not worried about if it's too short really, because it's just to help hold it up. So it doesn't have to perfectly connect over there to something over here. And then here it looks to be about 8. So I am gonna add that all up, and I think I have enough to do that. It's not a whole lot of wood. I think this is 4 foot long, and there's only one thing here that's even over a foot. That one's a little over 2 feet. I don't know. I think it's enough. I'm gonna add this up real quick. Hopefully I don't look stupid. Okay, so it looks like based on these measurements, I don't even know if this is actually truly 4 foot, if it's exactly 48 inches or not. I didn't measure it. Usually wood is not the exact measurement, like the size of the the thickness and width of these is not actually what they say it is. But if you add these up, if this is 48 inches, I will be half an inch short because 25 and a quarter, 5 and a quarter, 8 and 10, that gets you to 48 and a half. So I am going to, I don't know. I think I'm just gonna cut this one first because it's like the biggest one. I'm gonna do it just exactly 25 instead of 25 and a quarter. And then I'm gonna cut this one and just cut it as 5. And then whatever is left, since these ones are just kind of fitting in between other pieces anyway, I will just figure out exactly what I have left. If this has to be like 7 and this has to be 9, whatever, it's not a big deal. So yeah, let's just cut it and make it work. Okay, so I got it out here and I just measured along it and marked all the spots I'm going to cut just up front, so that way it's already taken care of. So we have the 25, the 5, the 10, and the 8. And it was basically 48 inches, so that worked out. I'm glad it's not shorter, but it is shorter in terms of width and height, or whatever you want to say it. So yeah, so I am going to cut. I'm going to start at this end, so that way I leave the biggest pieces to make it more stable when I'm trying to cut it, and then just cut each line just going on down. Okay, so just cut it all and brought it over here just to test, see how everything fits. I don't know why I measured this the way I did originally, where I thought it was going to just end in line with this, because the step just keeps going here, so I don't know what I was thinking. So yeah, everything seems to fit pretty good, as you can see. And then this piece, same kind of thing. I for some reason made that line going straight across, but really it should just be like as forward as it can be, I think. Help support like the edge of it. So yeah, so I'm gonna go with that. That's all good. And I guess I should figure out what size screws I need to be able to get that in there without completely drilling into the metal. That's gonna be pretty tough because that is a thin piece of wood underneath there, so I gotta figure out exactly what I'm gonna use there. I also have to factor in whatever wood I'm gonna be putting on top of here, which will probably just be that 1/4 inch, just because I have that whole bit left of it. And then I also have to figure out what I want to do with the middle here. Am I just leaving it open? Am I just going to chuck some insulation in there just for support, not even really for insulating purposes? So yeah, I got some planning here to do. And that side's just looking like that side. Alright, so I'm gonna put some thought into what I want to chuck on top of here and everything else, and how I'm gonna connect everything, and then I will come back. I am also gonna give another check on the gunk that's drying. Okay, so what I'm thinking is, I got these 1 1/4 at some point this week. I picked them up for hooking up the board to this, to make that kind of block to keep everything in there, whatever you want to call it. So if I'm using these and I just hold it up here right now, you can see that it would be, going through that and end up hitting the metal. So what I'm thinking is, I will take all these little pieces off here, make another template from here going all the way around. It would be nice to just take this off and trace it on the wood, but that would be a massive project and would be way harder than just tracing it out. So I'll just do a trace again, another template, cut that out, put it on top of all these, and then just drill these going down in there, and I can basically trace these onto whatever wood is going to be on top of here, so that way I'll know where they're basically going to be, more or less. And then that's all going to be covered up by that green stuff anyway, so I'm not worried about if there's pencil markings on it or anything, and I can always erase it anyway. So yeah, so that's my game plan for right now. I think real quick though, I am going to eat something. Oh, by the way, this stuff is still wet, so nothing happening there. So I'll hook that heater back up since I'm not cutting anything right this second. Go eat something and then come back on out. That'll give this stuff a chance to dry off a tiny bit, because every time I cut a piece off, it fell down into all the slush and snow stuff, so it got a little wet. So I am going to, I'm gonna just hook up that heater, give this a half an hour to dry while I go eat, and then I'll come back out and template and cut and all that fun stuff. Alright, so template is basically made. I just have to now cut out that area back there where the tape is that's holding it up. Otherwise it's all on there. So then after I finish cutting that edge, I will take it and put it on that wood, trace it out, and cut it. Okay, so it is on here. Put some tracing around it in case it moves, and now it is time to cut. Okay, so this is what we are working with. I got the supports down here all lined up, and then I got this sitting on top here. I haven't marked out exactly where those supports are. I mean, these are all pretty easy to see here, and then that back one just goes basically the whole length. So I think I'm just gonna go ahead and screw it right on in there. It's gonna be a little bit tricky because while trying to screw it, I'm sure everything's gonna be trying to move around here. So I'll try to do some pre-drilling and see if it'll stay put, and then maybe it'll be easier then to get the screws themselves in. Yeah, so I'm gonna give some testing out. You gotta go get the drill. It's inside, staying warm, so it's not having that same issue from last week or whatever week that was. Okay, so on my other packs of screws, they said what size bit you're supposed to use to drill into there. This just says number 6, which doesn't match with any of the measurements on here because these are, fractions. And it doesn't seem like it gives any real instructions. I looked all around the sides and the back and stuff. Just like warnings, do not swallow, these are screws. So I am just gonna have to take a guess. I think the other ones that I used might have been number 8 size, and they had me using, I don't remember what size. I don't know. So I'm just gonna basically just hold this up and then hold up the bits and see which one looks slightly smaller than this, and then use that. I don't know why they don't have it. Oh wait, is it on here? No. It's not inside on their lid. Yeah, it's so weird. I don't get why they want to give you that kind of information on there. I'm thinking, I was actually considering just saying screw it and just go straight in with the screw, but I'm just like, I don't know how well that's gonna work, because these supports aren't held down really in any way, so I don't trust that. Okay, so this one I drilled partially down, and then I put this one in. I got it actually a little bit lower, but then this started to spin out, so then I backed it up and it got back into place here. So I'm just going to leave that in there, so it basically will help hold everything else, so that way it doesn't shift, and all the holes that I make end up shifting and getting all screwed up. So I have that one. I'm going to go down and do that corner now, so that way it'll hold this piece kind of going all the way across. It'll be kind of, you know, held a little bit here, held a little bit down there, and then also it'll be holding this piece, and it'll also be helping hold that super long piece that goes along the back. And then I can just kind of go from there, just, you know, go along the back, go along the front, all the way around it then. Okay, so might not actually do that, because that piece, there's nothing, no bolts down here holding this very tip in, so it's raised up. So when I'm trying to push this down to then screw in, it's kind of shifting everything else around. And also I'm having trouble getting the drill in there in the first place, because right above it is this, so it's a hard time fitting in there. So for right now, I'm just gonna, you know, push this edge back here, make sure that's in place, and I'm gonna stick to doing not that corner. I'm gonna go over here and do this one, and then probably work on, you know, holding this board down and that board down, and then I'll work on figuring out how I'm gonna get that last bit in there once I have everything else a bit more stable. Because right now, as soon as I push that down, everything else starts moving, so it's not gonna work out. So I definitely don't want to start there. Okay. So I got 4 in here so far, so I started with that one. Can't remember if they filmed, so then I did that one. And then once I did that, then I tightened this one up while holding the piece back here, so it wouldn't spin. And then I did this one. I got it most of the way in, stopped again because this end started moving, so then I got this back in place, and then drilled, got that one in, I put it all the way in, and then put that one all the way in. Something I'm noticing, I'm guessing the screws must be just like a little bit too long or something, because it is, instead of pulling this down, it's actually pulling this piece of wood up. So I'm not sure exactly what the reason is behind that, but I mean, it feels stable still, even with it not being completely screwed in yet. It feels, you know, totally fine. That rattling is just because half of it's not screwed in there yet. But yeah, this end is feeling real good. I still have to put one more back here to lock in this piece, and then do, you know, at least 2 along there, and at least get that one in the corner somehow. I'm gonna get in there, and then I might put, you know, another 1 or 2 along the back there, just add a little bit more stability since that piece is so long. Oh man! And then I think, like I said, I'm gonna do that sealant, just because this is right here at the door. You have the water dripping down from the entryway, I don't know, whatever you want to call it. And also, you know, it's going to have that green stuff on top, so I'm going to be like wiping my shoes off on there. So just to help make sure that it lasts and it doesn't just rot from all that moisture, going to add that sealant to it. And yeah, I'm going to read on the sealant can to see exactly, you know, I'm sure since it's like a paint can, you can kind of open and close it over and over, but I don't want to open it and then have to use it all right away or something and not have this ready. So I am going to, yeah, I just realized I have the podcast playing, so hopefully you guys can understand what the hell I'm saying here, and it's not like multiple people talking. But yeah, so I'm going to finish screwing this in here, and then I'll check out the sealant and see exactly what it says as far as how to use it. And then, yeah, and then at some point in a little bit, I'll check back in on the wood gunk that's been drying. It's been over 40. I guess I haven't really checked the weather, honestly, but it's supposed to have been just over 40 all day. I haven't had the little heater running because I have the drill out there, not the drill, the saw hooked up. So hopefully it's warm enough to where it's doing something, at least getting closer. I would like to be able to sand and stain tonight, let the stain sit, and then tomorrow at least then be able to do the sealant then and have it totally done then. But it's just a matter of how long it takes everything to dry. I mean, if it takes it was supposed to take 2 hours for this to dry, and then however long it's going to take the stain to dry, and then however long it takes the sealant to dry. So we'll see. It's definitely taking longer than 2 hours so far for the wood putty stuff. Alright, so that weird angled piece is in there. This one's in there. That one I have both in there now. So the last one that needs the 2 screws in it, it's got the one there, and now it's finally time to face that corner and figure out how I'm gonna get the drill back in there to get that last screw in there. And then, like I said, I might put another 1 or 2 along that long piece there, and then yeah, it'll be all in there. Okay, so that one is in there. I had to go in at an angle because of this here. So if you look down, it actually, because of that, it just barely touches like the tip of that wood there. So it's not really all that, it's not as in there deep as like these other ones here. But it is way more stable now over on this side. You can see there's like no bounce in it, just at the very edge there is. But overall, I mean, this thing feels rock solid right now. Back here, it's a little bit of wiggle room, so I'm gonna put in probably just, maybe I'll put in 2, maybe we'll put like 1 over here and 1 down there to help stabilize that back part of it. But up front, all totally solid. So I'm very happy with this. I'm gonna put in those 2 last screws, and then I guess I'll give it another check on that wood putty and see where we're at from there. Alright, so those are in. I just did a quick kind of mathing and measured out to see where they would be evenly spaced across there. So that way it looks nice. It's gonna be covered up, but still it looks nice, and it's gonna give it the most stability then, so that way it's not lopsided or anything. But I mean, this thing is in there. I mean, that's not going anywhere. So I'm super happy with how that turned out. So I'm gonna check on that putty stuff. I'll check on the sealant stuff, the poly whatever it's called. See if it has any specific directions as far as opening and closing it and all that. And this is wet back here, so I don't know if I can really use that yet anyway until that dries, because this piece was actually resting over in the ice slash slush slash oh, what happened here? I must have chipped this up when I was just screwing stuff in here or something. Well, rip that off. Well, at least it happened before I did the final stain and everything. So yeah, I'm gonna try to get that last hunk off. There we go. And maybe I'll just slap the tiny piece of putty on there, or maybe it's not really a big chunk anyway, so I'll just stain over it. But yeah, so I don't think I can actually seal this until this is dry, I'm guessing. That's usually, I know for like the stain and stuff like that, has to be dry and clean and all that. So this is pretty wet along that edge there, because it was, like I said, in the ice, which then became slush, which then became mud. So gotta let that dry up, and then yeah, but it's looking good, and it feels really, really, really sturdy. Just like this over here is super sturdy, so I'm really happy with how this kind of entrance area is turning out. I don't necessarily plan on using this as like a main entrance kind of way. I imagine I'm going to be using one, the drive obviously over there, and then the back doors, just because this door here, closing it from the outside is pretty easy. I've gotten used to how hard you got to slam it to get it shut all the way. But I know from the inside, a lot of times I notice that there is like a little gap still, and it's not fully closing. And I know that's just going to become harder when I have a bunch of stuff, right here, kind of in the way. So I don't imagine that this will be like my main door that I'm using here anyway. But it's nice that it's, looking really good, and I can, use it. This is an option, and it's going to be a really cool looking option. So yeah, got all that going. Trying to think of what else, if that putty isn't ready, which I'm hoping it is, what else I could work on next, but we'll figure it out. Alright, so I just put my finger right into this corner here, and it's still soft. It's like quicksand. So I mean, this is one of the widest gaps here, right in this corner, and then going along there where I filled in extra anyway, so that's definitely not going to be dry. So, I guess I am going to check out the sealant, see what it says. I imagine I can't use it yet because it's wet. And then I should probably turn that heater back on since I'm not really cutting anything. Although I was just thinking maybe I will work on cutting out something for this to put up against the wall there. So yeah, I am gonna check out the sealant and then possibly start working on that. Alright, so I definitely can't seal this yet. It's gotta be totally dry. And I am obviously can't do the sanding and all that yet because that's still wet. So I'm trying to figure out if I am gonna put something here to cover this, what is it and how am I gonna do it? So I'm thinking if I use that 1/4 inch, in order for it to attach at the top here, it would have to, be drilled into this 1/2 inch wood, and this is the insulation underneath, so you're really just dealing with that portion. And that is not, obviously there's an overhang here, so that would come down, I don't know, somewhere around this level. So it's going to cut down on foot space to be able to step on there, which obviously part of it is already pretty limited because it curves in there. And then I'm also just worried about what size screw would I have to use where it would have to be stable enough to stay there and hold it, but I don't want it to end up messing up this wood for the floor here. So I'm trying to think here how I'm going to do this, or if I'm going to do it at all. I'm actually considering just leaving this area be, because I don't want to, I could put something back up against it, but I would be, one, fighting against this wire here, and two, there's nothing to drill into. These are just, I don't know what these are really for. I think that thing actually kind of hooked into it with those plastic things that pop out. That's probably what those holes are for. But there's no bolts, there's nothing. I would just have to drill into metal. And like I said, this wire is in the way, so it would still be sticking out. So I'm kind of trying to think. I just don't think it's really worth it. I think this is gonna look fine once I get that this sealed and get that green stuff on it. So I'm thinking I'm just gonna leave that. That way, the wire, especially even here, it sticks out a good amount, but then over here, I'm just gonna have the big gaping hole in this wall or whatever you want to call it, because this has to run over here. So it's just like, what's the point really? I think I'm just gonna leave it, which means I don't think there's really anything to do right now. It's so weird, like these past however many weekends I've been just going non-stop. There hasn't been enough time, and now it's just like I'm kind of just stuck. I can't really work on anything. I would say the next big project would be starting to cut holes. So I'm not sure if I want to do. I'm going to be putting windows on either side in the back here. I got to figure out exactly. I don't know if I am cutting out that pre-made kind of shape there, or how it's going to work, and if I am, which one do I want to use, the top or the bottom. I'm going to be putting the fan in somewhere back here at the top. I do have the fan here, but I don't have any way of getting up there right now for as far as like a ladder. I do have the windows, just not here, and then I have all my solar stuff, but again, that's not here. And I also don't have a ladder to get up top there. So yeah, I might just start kind of thinking about where exactly I'm going to put everything. I don't have the exact measurements of the roof and solar panels and everything to compare, but I can at least think, I can break that out of the box if I want to and just hold up, some part of it to see will it fit in between those, I don't know what you want to call them, the spines, that doesn't sound right. Whatever, those things going across there that are holding the whole roof together. Because what I would like to do is have it either be in between two of those, and then I don't have to interact with those things at all, or if it's going to be a little bit bigger, I might even cut it in a way where it is, 90% of it is in between two, and then there's a little bit that goes into one of those, but I don't actually cut it. So it's just the roof itself is cut, but not that brace or whatever you want to call it there. Just because I feel like those are really important, and those are probably also going to be important when I'm working on insulating the roof and putting in the ceiling panels or whatever. And also I feel like they're important for just the structure of the van and keeping everything held together. So yeah, I might just mess around with that, just play around with where things are going to fit, measure from the floor and see like how high do I want the bed to be, and how low do I want the cabinets to be, to see is that going to affect the window at all. I don't have the measurements of the window. I don't know if it's on the site that I ordered it from to see if I don't know exactly. I feel like it's got to be bigger than just one of those little semi-rectangular kind of things, from what I remember seeing. But yeah, so I'll just start randomly playing anything. Not a lot to film for that, so it might end up being somewhat of a short video this week, as I'm approaching 6 minutes on just this recording alone. So yeah, so this is in here, just waiting for things to dry, waiting for that stuff to dry, waiting for the wood putty to dry. Like I said, just gonna be a weekend of just kind of waiting around for stuff to dry, so no surprise there. Okay, so it is Sunday morning now. Everything is back to being ice. Obviously there's a lot less ice than like last weekend, but it's all frozen up here. The wood putty stuff never dried. Last night I kept coming out and checking, so I'm going to check again now. If it's still not dry, which would be crazy, but it definitely got much colder overnight. I was expecting this to be done long before it got down to freezing last night, but that didn't happen. So if it is still wet and not fully dry, I am going to, instead, this morning before it starts raining, I'm going to run over to Lowe's or Home Depot, whoever has it in stock, and pick up some wool insulation, and I can at least start working on stuffing that in the walls today, since if that's still wet, then I'm not going to be working on sanding or staining or anything like that. But if it is ready to go, then I'm going to work on sanding and staining, and obviously once I stain, I'm not going to be able to get in there and do any insulation stuff. I don't know, I'm just filming random burn pile things. But yeah, I'm just talking. And so yeah, I'm gonna open this up, check that putty stuff, and then make the plan for the day. Okay, so for a second I thought, I was like, oh, it's done. So like this kind of spot over here feels pretty good, because a very thin spot. But then I went over here to this big corner and I pushed it, and instantly my fingerprint made a big spot in it. So I mean, if it's not 100% dry, then I can't sand all of it, which means I can't stain all of it. So I guess I'm maybe working on insulation, at least for this morning, before it starts raining. I gotta make sure I get to the store, get it back here, and get it in the van before it starts raining, because I don't really know what happens to wool insulation once it gets wet. I mean, apparently it handles moisture a lot better than fiberglass stuff, and it's also way less toxic, obviously. But I don't know about completely just getting rained on, so compared to just general moisture inside the van. So yeah, I am going to real quick eat something. I already got my shower this morning before I came out here, and as you can see, I was messing with the fan yesterday, just testing out where it might fit and stuff. Yeah, I am going to eat and then I'm going to check online while I'm eating and just see. I'm pretty sure when I checked a while ago about wool insulation, Home Depot and Lowe's both carry it, but I want to make sure that they haven't stocked before I drive over there and waste my time. Okay, so I checked online. Lowe's said that they had a bunch of them, went there, and then somebody said that they don't actually have them, so it's kind of a waste of time. So then I went to Home Depot and they did have a ton of them, so I just picked up one to get started. I'm not sure exactly how much I'm going to need. So it's supposed to cover something like, I think like 59 square feet or something like that. Yeah, it says right there. So yeah, I'm just going to get this open and see exactly what I'm working with. It's hard to figure out the exact measurements online, but on the package here somewhere, I think it's on one of the sides, it says it's like 3¼ inches thick or something like that. So that's why it says it's for like 2x4, because depending on which direction you have your 2x4 going, you could fit it, you know, in between those. And then I think it said it was like, I can't even remember the other measurements going like across and widthwise and stuff. But so basically inside this package, you can kind of see how thick it is there. There's a bunch of, I don't know, sections of it basically. I'm not sure exactly how many there are, but figure that's how thick it is, and then you know that they're 3¼ inch thick. There's about that many going across there. So I'm gonna get this cut open here and then just start cutting out slices and stuffing it into all these holes going down here, and then also stuffing it in up there. It seemed pretty smushy from what, you know, one end is kind of ripped open a little bit because people were looking at it, and then I was looking at it too. So I'm hoping that I can still stuff it in there, because that area up there definitely is not as deep of an opening as it is down there. So I'm hoping I can still just kind of jam it in there and make it work. So yeah, gonna get to it here. Alright, so just to show you guys how deep these holes are, because I mean, once you look down there, it's just black, you can't really see anything. But this is how long they are. They are, is it saying in here anywhere? Let's see, here it is. So they have the measurements here. So it's 47 inches long. So it's actually 3½ inches thick, and then it's 15¼ going, you know, across it widthwise, and that's where it says 59 square feet. So, it's basically 4 foot, and you can see that that thing goes that far down into there. There's really almost nothing hanging out here. I just have to get it to go. I'm gonna try to get it over into this corner here, and because right here there's metal, but then over here it keeps going up, probably up until basically here. So yeah, so I am gonna just work on stuffing this stuff in there, probably making mistakes and cutting it too short, but then I can always just stuff more in there. The great stuff about this is it's just wool, so I don't have to wear a mask the entire time I'm working with this. I don't need gloves. You know, it's just like touching a big thick wool sweater or something. So I have my crappy scissors, I have my X-Acto knife thingy, and I'm just gonna work on cutting this and seeing how far I can get here. I only bought one of these. Like I said, it's supposed to cover 59 square foot, and I haven't calculated how many square foot the walls are. So, but I know that right now I'm only gonna be stuffing in, you know, these openings at the top and bottom. I'm not gonna be doing anything here because I need to cut out the windows and stuff before I do that. And then I have to figure out exactly when I'm going to be doing insulation with the ceiling at some point, because I don't know how well that wool is going to fit up here. It's pretty thick compared to, you know, the depth of these brace things that are on here. So I might need something a little bit thinner than that. Alright, so just gonna start cutting stuff. Okay, so I quickly realized that the blade on this is much smaller than the thickness on this. So I just ripped it, and it ripped pretty fine. I mean, there's a little bit of a mess here, but that's not a big deal. So I took some of it and stuffed it up into here, and then the rest I just slid down into here and shoved over into this corner as far as it will go, and that is all pretty much in there. There is a gap here, so once I have, you know, more stuff actually in here, I'm closer to the end, I'll go in and fill in all the gaps with just, you know, leftover wool stuff, just jam it into all the nooks and crannies that I need to. But for right now I'm gonna work on this, and then I have to deal with this weird spot, and then just keep on going on down. Alright, so this is what I have going so far. So this is stuffed all the way down to the bottom. This is always stuffed. This is stuffed. I have stuff going all across the top here, and this is stuffed. I feel like I'm about to sneeze, but yeah. Hold on. Okay. So I think I'm done sneezing. So the nice thing is that as long as it's like tight enough, you can just stuff it in there, and it just sticks, and it's basically all one big piece again. So okay, now I think I'm done sneezing. So yeah, like I said, you just, this piece right here is actually a separate piece that just was left over when I was done stuffing extra stuff up here and up here, and it's I just stuffed it right in there, and it's basically one big cohesive piece there. So that's really nice. So yeah, so I'm gonna fill in this square over here and that little one, and then this whole area will be done. Everything's stuffed. I stuffed it all the way. Up here there's basically like a tunnel that goes along. You can see all the way up to here even. So yeah, so it is stuffed to the max other than those two spots there. I was worried that I would basically have this and then put something there and just keep falling out. But after stuffing that in there, I'm just like, yeah, this is, as long as it's a tight enough of a squeeze in there, it holds it perfectly. I mean, you can see I'm pulling and pushing on it, and it's just in there. So that's really nice. I have a feeling that the next section is going to be a little bit tougher because we got some awkward shapes. We got this weird, looks like something from a comic book, like somebody saying something there. Then we got an oval, and then we got another weird shape over there. So it's going to be awkwardly kind of stuff in there. And one thing that does kind of suck trying to do this, the wool itself is great, but these edges here they're not sharp like I'm touching them right now, but sometimes you're not expecting it. You're trying to jam stuff down there, and then you just jab into it a little bit. But whatever, all this is going to be covered up by a wall eventually anyway, so I'm not super worried about it. I'm not going to go around and like sand everything or something. So I'm just going to keep going here. Okay, so this area is definitely a little bit more of a pain, but it's definitely using less wool, because this wool actually continues back there. It kind of already covered up some, and it's dark in there so you can't see. So this actually doesn't go very, that's as far as it goes down right there, and it kind of has like a hump and different shapes and stuff, and it only goes up this far. So this one could use a little bit more stuffed in here to keep that held up, but otherwise, yeah, it's just a matter of just trying to get into these awkward spaces. So the next thing is just ripping it apart and stuffing it in there. And yeah, so this section is actually going pretty fast just because it's not using a lot. Yeah, I don't know. I'm just gonna keep ripping it up and stuffing it in all these awkward spaces. Okay, so this is all stuff full down there. I guess I should also do that corner over there, that whole thing, and then move on up to the top. And then as long as I still have more of this stuff, do this side. I think I want to say I went through like 4 sheets of these so far. Well, 3.5. I don't remember. I wasn't really keeping track. I was just grabbing them and ripping them apart and stuffing them in there. So yeah, so I still got a decent pile left there. So I'm gonna stuff that whole area the best I can. There's wires coming in and out of there, and I don't know exactly how low or how high it goes. And then I will get going on this area. Okay, so this whole area going down is stuffed full. However, I think there's still stuff that needs to go in above this. So my options are either to continuously try to stuff up from there, or there is one small hole up here. So I'm going to try just stuffing it down there and just letting gravity kind of just take it down and just keep stuffing until it eventually gets up to there. I don't see any way to stuff really like going across here, so I guess that's just going to remain uninsulated, unless there's like holes on the other side when you open the door, but I don't think there is. I don't remember there being anything like that. So yeah, so I'm just going to stuff that down there until eventually it fills up, I guess. Okay, so that is stuffed all the way up there. It looked full and I just kept stuffing and stuffing and stuffing, so I think it filled up to the top. And I think it's also going a little bit across. I can't see any going through there or anything yet, so it's not going way across. But I finished up using the piece that I had, and I figure it's full enough there for now, so I'm gonna leave it alone and start working on this stuff, making my way down this way. And then maybe I'll stuff some more in there and just keep going until I can't stuff anymore, basically. Alright, so this is the top section here. It definitely thins out the depth as you go up. So it's sticking out here, sticking out here. It's hard to stuff it in between. I mean, even if there's lower spots, it's definitely smaller than what you're working with down there, but especially up here, I mean, there's like no space. You can see here, I mean, I can barely get my fingers in there. So trying to get 3.5-inch insulation, it's tricky. I'm stuffing in there best I can. And we got the first 2 little chunks done here. Got it going down there. Got it as much in the top as I can get it up there. And just gonna keep going. Okay, so got the first like half done or so for this top part. Definitely don't think it would be a good idea to drive until I have the walls on here, because I mean, these ones are securely in there no matter how wrapped up they are, but these ones, because you know it's got that thinner gap there to stuff this into, it really is hanging out here quite a bit, you can see. So yeah, just gonna keep on going and stuffing this in there though. Alright, so this is what we got going so far. So I'm stuffing all throughout that bottom area there, get that done, and then I'm gonna full stuff in. Something I do notice, obviously this is wool, so it's non-toxic and all that stuff, but definitely it's like drying, which in a way is good because it'll help keep the van drier. But just ripping it all apart and kind of breathing in makes their throat a little bit scratchy. So I've just been drinking water, and some people might say you should wear a mask, but I don't think it's really like necessary for wool, so I'm just gonna keep going. So yeah, you know, it's like just repeatedly ripping apart a wool sweater and stuffing into a wall basically. So yeah, almost done with this whole section here, which is good. And then I still have a couple more sheets. I don't know if I'll be able to finish this with it. This, I'm guessing, is going to be similar to the other side where it's not actually that deep. Yeah, you can see the wheel well extending out there, so it's not really deep. So I might actually be able to get by with just what I have here and finish bottom and top. And then I also have to stuff this thing going up here. But we'll see how far we get. I still got to finish this little bit over here too. Alright, so as you can see, this top part is everything just like bulging out, but it is in there. You can see how far out that is somewhat, the camera. So yeah, so the bottom is full, the top I got as full as I could, but obviously got super narrow up there, and everything's just kind of trying to fall off there. So yeah, once I have, you know, some type of like wood paneling up there or whatever, then that'll obviously just smush that all back into place and be held down. But for right now, I'm not planning on doing any driving with this because I imagine one bump and it could end up all falling out. So I'm going to take some more of this bit here and stuff in there just to see what happens, and then I will be moving on to that section. Okay, so I'm here stuffing this, and I can see it's heading out here somewhat, and I just noticed actually behind this light is access to more area that could be stuffed. So I'm debating if I want to try to take this down, but it's still going to be attached to this wire. So I'm trying to figure out what's going to be easy, if I just want to stuff it down in there that way, if I actually want to take this off. So I'm going to try stuff it in there, see how easy it is. Because I don't know how far this is really going to go. It's basically just going to have to dangle here off this wire. I don't know how strong that connection is. So let's see what happens. Alright, so I stuffed up that side and then the middle thing behind the light there. And now I've stuffed up going there. And I'm working on that corner now. I don't know if I'm going to be able to like fully stuff going across there. I think there's some like wires in there and it's tough to get. Oh man, this wool. It's tough to get to really move around. And it's also, I can't really see what I'm doing exactly, so I don't know how full, you know, this section over here is, other than, you know, occasionally seeing wool peek through one of these random holes. So yeah, so that's what I'm working on. I just finished up another slab of insulation, so I'm gonna grab the next one and keep stuffing there. The reason I'm doing this stuffing before I work on this stuff is because I know if I get this completely full and then I run out and I don't have enough to stuff this, I will end up forgetting about that and never end up stuffing it. So I'm gonna do that, and then if I don't have enough to do this is going to be pretty obvious because I'm going to see, you know, whatever's missing there. So I'll know that I need to get more and finish that part of the job. So I'm going to keep stuffing in there, see how far I can get. And then, yeah, I think I got, what do I got here? Yeah, I just got 2 more left here. So getting pretty low. So I don't think I'm going to be able to finish the full job with what I have here. So I'll end up needing to grab more. And it has started to rain. You can see some of the raindrops out there. Luckily it comes in this plastic, so it's pretty well sealed, unless of course it's ripped open already. So I should be able to go out and grab some more. Although my car was actually a little bit weird. So I'm going to have to take that somewhere, possibly today, to get looked at. It is Sunday, so it might be tough, but I'm going to see what I can do about that as well. So, and I have to cook and all kinds of stuff, so lots of running around to do today. But for right now, I'm just going to work on these last 2 slabs of insulation and see where I can get with it. Okay, so I got that stuffed, all 3 of those top spots, as much as I can. So I'm working on this section here, so I started stuffing here, and it seems like this hole that extends, I'm guessing, all the way up and to here. Not sure how much you're going to be able to see. It's kind of dark. Let's see if I can angle it. Alright, so this is probably all like sideways for you guys, but this is the only way I can film it. So I stuffed that up, going up into that hole, and now I'm working on stuffing stuff going down to hopefully have it fill however much needs to be filled in here. I don't really know. Okay, so this hole here actually seems like it's stuffing going down into this. It doesn't seem like it's actually going down here. It's getting really hard to stuff in there. So I guess I'm going to keep stuffing from the bottom. Okay, so I got that corner kind of done, and I am officially out. So gonna clean this up here, get this chucked in the trash, and then figure out what I'm doing next for the day. Alright, so I just want to come out here and film one last thing for the day, because I think it's pretty much done for the day. So I ended up going and getting my oil changed because I was overdue for that, but I think the issue with my car was probably due with the mud that's stuck either underneath it or on the tires, because then driving to the oil change place and driving back, it was totally fine. And basically the only thing I can do, I'm still waiting for this stuff to completely solidify. It's still, I just felt it right now, still has some soft spots, so can't do anything there. And until I get more insulation, I can't finish up that. But at this point, the mud is so bad over there that I only want to go in and out when I absolutely have to, just because it's just getting worse and worse. So I am going to probably just stopping at insulation tomorrow after work. That way I'm only going in and out once tomorrow rather than in and out right now and then tomorrow and everything. So yeah, so this is pretty much gonna be it for this video, I guess, for this week. I think it's gonna be shorter than the ones that have been happening the past few weeks, but yeah, there's the insulation and the wood putty. That's all in place, just a matter of waiting for it to dry. So it's all there. It's just been raining like crazy, so everything's wet and muddy and slushy and gross, but time to pack it in. I'm gonna bring drill in. I haven't actually used that at all today. I should have brought that in yesterday, and get it all cleaned up and be done. Thank you.